I had a chance to talk to a room full of corporate marketers yesterday about analytics in general, predictive analytics in specific, and it was interesting. The questions they had to ask about analytics in general were not what I expected. I was expecting large corporations talking about difficult challenges, complex installations and things, and what I got instead was a whole series of questions about what tagging container should I use? What system is appropriate for this sort of thing? Should I be using Google Analytics Classic, Universal, or Tag Manager? There's an analytics tag on our corporate homepage that we can't find. And all the questions, it was really interesting. All the questions spoke to one very specific need, which large corporations, I think, probably need the most, but almost everybody needs to some degree, and that is people need analytics governance. You need to have somebody in charge and a written way of saying, this is how we're going to do stuff. So one of the questions, for example, was about how do you deal with multiple corporate websites? Well, the standard strategies. You have one single global tag management container, and then you have different analytics views for each property, and they have a roll-up analytics view that encompasses all four, and that roll-up one is where you put your goals so that you can see how each of the individual websites contributes to the overall goals, and you don't get cross-referral traffic. But that's a governance thing. That is an analytics strategy that is rooted in governance and process, not in the technologies themselves. The technologies are pretty straightforward. So I think it's really interesting that there's such a gap on infrastructure and governance and process when it comes to digital marketing analytics. And I would say any kind of digital analytics, not just marketing. I would bet you a small donut that there are probably just as many problems in customer support analytics. There are just as many problems in sales analytics. So what's your analytics strategy? What's your analytics governance strategy? Do you have a formal governance policy written down? Do you have an analytics war room or an analytics council of folks that sit down and say, here's how we're going to measure stuff? If you don't, it would be a good idea to have that, to write that down, to get a sense of this is what we need to do. This is how we're going to measure these things. This is why measurement is important to your company in general, but also why you're measuring certain things. So in a good analytics governance plan, you have roles, you have responsibilities, you have technology, you have infrastructure, you have assignments and ownership, you have risks, you have assumptions, you have detailed dictionaries. Here's what all these things mean, here's who's in charge of them, here's what they do. So think about, for example, what does Google Analytics do? Well, it depends on how you use it. You can use it for customer experience, you can use it for support, you can use it for sales, you can use it for a variety of things. So all these things go in a really good analytics governance plan, and it could take you a couple of months easily to put one together, but once you have it in place, you can then say to people, here's what we're doing, here's why we're doing it, here's how we're doing it. And then as you bring in new people or as technologies change, something else comes in, you can say, okay, let's, for example, if you're in digital marketing, we need, Snapchat now has analytics. Okay, how does that fit into the overall analytics infrastructure? How does that fit into the governance plan about it? Who owns Snapchat? Who owns Instagram? Who owns the data for these platforms? Having that in place is really important, and it's something that should be one of your priorities. It can be something you can do in parallel with revenue generating work, but the sooner you do it and the sooner you fix a lot of these problems, the faster you'll get to more revenue, the faster you'll get to increased revenue, increased productivity, decreased frustration on the parts of everybody who's working in analytics, and it will make your business better. So try getting started with analytics and governance today, and if it's not something you're good at, hire somebody to do it for you. Hire a firm, hire a consultant, whatever you need to do to get it done. In some cases, it may actually be easier to hire someone outside because they can help navigate the organizational politics that come with unifying data silos. I remember at one company I worked with in the past, they said, sales controls the CRM and marketing's not allowed to see it. marketing's not allowed to see any sales data. And I said at the time, okay, how do you know that things are working? We don't. So having that third-party perspective and that third-party endorsement from leadership maybe is very important. So some thoughts from yesterday on the corporate Ask Me Anything on marketing analytics. Please get your governance in order, and please define things so that your life is easier. Now, if you're a smaller business or a small business or a solopreneur, your analytics are even more important, because if you scale, you want to have that governance in place sooner rather than later. And if you don't scale right now, one of the things that might be holding you back is not having your data in a clean, compatible, and well-chosen way that will let you grow based on that data. So if you have questions on any of this stuff, if you want help with some of this stuff, just let me know. Just send me a message here on the network, and let's see what we can do. Thanks for watching.